in standard form, we're going to be able to get information from them. Okay? So this right here is my initial thing that we're going to use for word problems. It's all about vertical motion. Okay? So my vertical motion model is used to predict the motion of objects. It's the formula ht equals negative 16t squared plus vot plus ho. And I'm going to talk about what each of these mean. ht is the height of an object t seconds after it's thrown. Zoom in. I know my handwriting is horrible. I do not care if you ask me. It says height of an object t seconds after it's thrown. My initial velocity is what v little o means, is the initial velocity. Okay? T is the time. This h with the little o by it is the initial height.
Say initially, then at the beginning.
Yep. So let's talk about this. So if I'm going to throw a ball in the air, right? I'm going to throw it up just like we saw yesterday when we finished up the notes when we did the whole, she threw a ball to the dog. Do you guys remember that? So my initial height is from the moment the ball left my hand. Okay, the initial velocity is the force that I put it at. And then t will end up being the time that it took. And ht is the height seconds after it's thrown. Okay? So when you're asked for the maximum or minimum, you're actually finding the height of the object above the ground. That is the y value of the parabola's vertex. When you're asked how much time it took to reach the max or minimum, you're looking at the height above the ground. That is the x value of the parabola's vertex. Okay? So we're going to use this information to find a vertex, seconds after, and the height. So you guys ready to look at number one? No? I made you write down a lot of stuff? Okay. I'll wait. Okay. So I'm going to move it up just a little bit so we can go over this question. All right. After t seconds, a ball tossed into the air from the ground level reaches a height of h feet. Given by the equation, ht equals negative 16t squared plus 144t. So let's talk about what a, b, and c are first. What's the a value here?
Negative 16.
Okay. What's the b value?
144.
And what's the c value? 0. It's not written. Okay? And we know it's 0 because it went from the ground. Okay? We're all writing these down. We've put our phones down, right? We're all focused. Okay. We want to find the vertex. When we want to find a vertex in standard form, what do we need to find first? The axis of symmetry. Who remembers what that formula is?
Negative b over 2 times a.
Good. So negative b, so that's negative 144, over 2 times negative 16. That equals 4.5. Or 4.5, whichever way you want to put it. That's my axis of symmetry.
So now we have to plug it into the equation.
Now we're going to plug it into the equation to find the y value of her vertex. Yep. So we're going to go negative 16 times 4.5 squared plus 144 times 4.5. And we're going to get, and I would put this in your calculator all at once, guys. Don't do 4.5 squared, then times by negative 16, then add 144 times 4.5. Just put it all at once. And then you can double check with your calculator before you push enter that you have it exactly like you wrote on your paper. And you want to write it on your paper because you want that partial credit for a test or quiz. Right? You also want to make sure you're doing it. 324 is what I get. So my vertex is 4.5, comma 324. After how many seconds will the ball reach its maximum height? How many seconds? So which one's the seconds and which one's the height?
X is time.
X is time. So Y is the height. And it says, how many seconds will the ball reach its maximum height? So, which one's seconds? 4.5 seconds, right? What is the maximum height? 324 what? Feet, and I got that from up here. How do we feel?
Okay.
Should we do one more? Okay. Okay. Yep. So should we get started? We're good? Okay. A rocket carrying fireworks is launched from a hill 80 feet above a lake. The rocket will fall into the lake after exploding at its maximum height. The rocket's height above the surface of the lake is given by negative 16t squared plus 64t plus 80. We want to find the vertex. So I think labeling what A, B, and C are is helpful. So what's A in this case?
Negative 16.
Okay. What's B? What's C? Okay. How am I going to find the x value of my axis of vertex? Yeah? It's negative b over 2a, right? So it's negative 64 over 2 times negative 16.
Oh, yeah.
Which gives me 2.
Do you have to put it in the fraction or can you just like do it separately?
You can do it separately. Remember, you can hit, if you want to, if you're messing up or not getting the same answer as me, if you hit, again, the control button and then divide, it makes the fraction for you on my calculator. And then you hit negative 64 over 2 times negative 16, and then you can enter it all at once like that, and you get the correct answers too. You want to know how to use these, right? Because this is the calculator I make you use for testing quizzes. This is the calculator that you'll want to use for your SAT, so you want to be really familiar
Yeah,
with
but
it.
you'll give us directions on the test though.
I will, but you won't get it on the SAT.
Don't we
Okay.
take SC?
So you take the PSAT this year, PSAT 9. You'll take the PSAT 10 next year. That one gives you some scholarships. And then you'll take the SAT your junior year, and that's all about getting into schools, and they will give you scholarships.
Wait, so the 10 one, if you do go on that, they give you scholarships.
There's a possibility for scholarships, yes. It's not as many as the SAT, but people have gotten scholarships for the PSAT.
If you do really go on.
So that's why we should start studying now, right? Okay, now that's just the x value. How am I going to get the y value? Plug it in, right? Negative 16 times 2 squared plus 64 times 2 plus 80. Negative 16 times 2 squared plus 64 times 2 plus 80. Remember, we can put that all in our calculator at once. Double checking that. See it? So I'm looking. All right, is that the same as what I have written down?
No.
Negative 16, 2 squared, plus 64. Oh, I have a 20 in there. 2 plus 80. I get 144. So my vertex then is 2, 144. Okay, let's turn the page over and answer the question. 2, 144. What is the maximum height my rocket reached? 144 feet, right? Because it says feet. How many seconds does the rocket take to reach its maximum height? 2 seconds. That's fast. Okay, so 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are exactly like that. Okay, 8, we're going back, we're remembering how to graph, do it from just a regular equation that's 8, 9, and 10. 8's the only one you have to graph. I don't want you to forget how to graph. We're going to have a quiz on this soon. Okay, we're going to have a quiz on Friday.
What, on this?
Okay, so got to make sure we know all of this stuff. All right, and then our test will be Tuesday of next week. All right, I'm going to stop this and let you guys work.